Long ago, in a village called Umu, there lived a young woman named Aku. She was an orphan, as her parents had passed away when she was very young, and she lived all by herself in a small hut. Aku was known throughout the village for her beauty, but she was very private and didn't have many friends. She never bothered anyone, and nobody knew much about her personal life. As Aku grew older, her uncles, who had shown no interest in her well-being after her parents died, decided it was time for her to marry. However, they were less interested in her happiness and more in the bride price they would receive from her future husband. Without asking her, they started looking for a husband for Aku, confident that her beauty would make it easy to find a suitor. Many young men in the village admired Aku and wanted to marry her. Whenever the young men talked about women, they often compared them to Aku, saying she was the most beautiful woman they knew. But Aku had no interest in getting married. She would ignore any man who tried to approach her, and if they persisted, she would sometimes embarrass them. Some of the men teased her, saying, "Are you waiting for a king to marry you?" But Aku didn't care. She kept to herself and remained uninterested in anyone's opinions or comments. One day, her uncles called her to a meeting. They told her that they had chosen a husband for her, who would be coming to meet her the next day. Aku did not like the idea at all, but she decided to play along, hoping to scare the man away. The next day, Aku sat outside her hut, waiting for the man her uncles had chosen. Next to her was a pot of water. When she saw the man approaching, she picked up the pot, ran towards him, and threw the water all over him. She then grabbed a big stick and began chasing him away. When her uncles heard what had happened, they were furious. Aku apologized, pretending to be sorry, and promised not to do it again. Her uncles forgave her and informed her that another suitor would be coming to see her the following week. The following week, Aku waited outside her hut for the second suitor. But this time, she had her late father's hunting gun with her. As the man approached, she fired a shot into the air, and the terrified man ran away. Once again, her uncles scolded her, threatening to punish her if she continued this way. But Aku wasn't fazed and remained determined to avoid marriage. When a third suitor came to visit, Aku pretended to welcome him with open arms. But as soon as he was close enough, she bit his shoulder, and he ran away in pain. By now, the whole village was talking about Aku and how she scared off any man who came to see her. One man in the village, named Odinaka, was still determined to marry Aku despite the rumors. He believed there was more to Aku than her behavior towards suitors. He decided to take a different approach by becoming her friend first. Every day, Odinaka would visit Aku's shop, where she sold food. He would buy something small and exchange a few words with her. Slowly, they began to talk more, and one day, when she was struggling with some calculations, Odinaka helped her out. She smiled and complimented him on his cleverness, which made him very happy. Over time, their conversations grew longer, and Aku even began to trust him a little. One evening, when Aku's wheelbarrow had a flat tire, she asked Odinaka to help her carry her goods partway home. As they walked, Odinaka decided to tell Aku how he felt. "Aku, I like you, and I want you to be my wife," he said. Aku stopped, surprised and annoyed. She accused him of only pretending to be her friend so he could marry her, and she told him to leave. But Odinaka refused to leave her alone with her heavy load, so he walked ahead with her things, determined to help her, whether she liked it or not. Secretly, Aku admired his kindness, but she couldn't bring herself to accept his proposal, as she held a deep secret about her condition. The next day, when Odinaka came to her shop, she ignored him, but he didn't give up. Instead, he went to her friend Ephora's shop next door and pretended to buy women's beads, even though he had no need for them. Aku, watching him buy beads every day, became curious and couldn't help but wait for his visits. One day, Ephora, who had observed the growing bond between Odinaka and Aku, teased Aku about her feelings for him. Aku's feelings became clearer to her, but she still didn't know how to handle them. A few weeks later, Ephora announced that she was getting married and would soon be leaving the village. Aku was happy for her friend, but also felt a sudden sadness, realizing that she would be truly alone. With Ephora leaving, Aku decided she didn't want to be alone forever. She sought out Odinaka and accepted his marriage proposal, though she had conditions. "I will be your wife," she told him, "but I won't live with you, and I'll never sleep at your house." Odinaka was puzzled by her demands. He tried to understand why she insisted on such an arrangement, but she wouldn't explain. Though confused, he promised to support her. But after seeing her struggle, he couldn't stand to leave her alone. He would visit her every day, making sure she was comfortable. One day, when Odinaka arrived at her hut, he noticed a strange smell. When he entered, he saw Aku lying weak on her bed. She was reluctant to let him help, but he refused to leave. He brought medicine, cleaned her house, and took care of her until she felt better. While tidying her hut, he noticed that Aku's bed was wet, and he soon realized that she had a condition that made her wet the bed at night. Embarrassed, Aku finally admitted that her condition was the reason she avoided marriage. She feared that no man would accept her, but Odinaka reassured her, telling her he loved her despite her condition. "We'll face this together," he said. Aku, deeply moved, accepted his love, realizing she no longer needed to hide or be ashamed. However, the next morning, Odinaka didn't arrive as usual. Aku worried that he had changed his mind. When she heard some village girls whispering, she assumed they were gossiping about her, and she angrily confronted them. But just then, Odinaka arrived with a smile. He explained that he had only been delayed because he was meeting builders who would help create a new, comfortable home for them to share. Touched by his love and dedication, Aku's fears faded. She and Odinaka married, and together they built a life filled with love, patience, and understanding, proving that true love accepts all flaws and conquers all challenges.